Stan Gibilisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV, Whiskey 1, Good Vibrations. Well, it looks like I may not be making any videos after this for a while. We're just going to have to wait and see. They're doing some analyses of lab tests done on my foot wound, and it would appear that the bacterium is the kind that requires in-hospital IV antibiotics, but they won't be sure until tomorrow morning. What a night I have to go through wondering all about that kind of thing. But this video involves the same, well, you know, it's related to the video a couple of videos ago, the one about conceiving a book, and how I went out to Wyoming in February and March of 2014 for an indeterminate period of time. Back in the days when I liked to do stuff like that. Now I just like to hang around home and I guess hang around the hospital. I don't know about this foot wound. This is a very dangerous thing, they say. I could very easily end up getting that foot cut off. But before that happens, I want to tell you another ham radio story. It has to do with one of several trips I made to Wyoming before 2014. I got it in my head I wanted to live in Wyoming. I don't know exactly why. I looked at a place in Casper, on top of Casper Mountain. In my playlist entitled Wandering the West, you'll see 3 videos of that one. I believe it was called Winter Delight. We called it Winter Delight. It was a log cabin up there on top of Casper Mountain. But I nixed that one because I was going to buy a house but rent the land from the government. It seemed like the worst of all possible deals. Kind of a cool setting though. But I did eventually end up purchasing a property on 3 acres of land that I called the Longwave Ranch on one of those trips. I don't believe I've made any videos involving that place specifically, but I called it the Longwave Ranch because I intended to fly kite or balloon supported long wire antennas for the new ham radio bands below the broadcast band. I'm not sure which bands they are, but I wanted to, you could at least receive with an antenna like that, and I wanted to be a DXer on those long wave bands. So I called the place the Longwave Ranch. It was a fairly well-maintained trailer which had a basement that liked to flood with up to a foot of water. I ended up purchasing that place for cash when I had a little more money than I do now, and I held on to it for a while and rented it out to somebody who decided they wanted to buy it from me. So I sold it to them for a fairly good profit and decided to stay here at my home quarters in Lead, South Dakota, where I've lived now for almost 16 years, I think. Long time I've been in this house. But anyway, the antenna opportunities at that place were great. You'd look out the front window of the bedroom, which was at the front of the trailer. You could see for miles and not see another house. There was a huge canyon and it was just empty. And I wanted to fly along wires and kite-supported ZEPs and balloon-supported ZEPs, work 160 meters and whatever meters or kilometers those other 2 new bands are. That was the one where I went to, well, it's a long story and a short story, but I sold it to the guy who rented it from me for a fairly good profit because I preferred the home that I had. You get attached, to a home after a while. It's not a love affair, but it's something like it. I've grown accustomed to my house. Anyway, that would have been a really neat. I would have put up some other antennas too. I would have put up, say, a full-size 40-meter ground plane supported by guy wires, utility poles. I would have done all sorts of stuff. It had a neat little picnic area out there, and it probably also had rattlesnakes. Here in Dakota we've got rattlesnakes too, but not like out there, I don't think. One of the commenters in the video about the book, Conceiving of a Book, Ham and Shortwave Radio for the Electronics Hobbyists, said, oh, I like Wyoming too. It's too bad it's not near an ocean. Well, if it were near an ocean, it wouldn't have the climate that it does. I don't know what kind of a climate it would have. But they get high winds out there, though. And that used to rock that trailer on its foundation. I remember that. And a lot of things. I looked at a couple of other places on other trips to Wyoming. Back when I had this Wyoming fantasy. Now my fantasy is just to stay alive and keep this foot and get over the horrendous digestive problems that I have. And they've actually diagnosed me with protein-calorie malnutrition. That's the kind of malnutrition they get in darkest Africa. And they've diagnosed me with that because of my belly aches. And I mean, they really are belly aches. Gastrointestinal trouble. Oh, poor me, poor me. You'll see a lot of videos about people who have been through these kinds of things and are crying for themselves. I just have hope that the good Lord, God the Father Almighty, has a purpose for me beyond this ranting on the videos and writing of books. I do, by the way, have an idea for a new and unique book that I'd like to write someday. And I've asked the Lord God, tell me when the time is right. Tell me when it's time to do this. If you want to keep me on this earth, if you have a purpose for me, tell me what it is. And I believe maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Maybe he has a purpose for me somewhere else, and I don't belong here. But chances are quite high, I'd say, that tomorrow at this time, today is November the 5th, 2019, that tomorrow at this time I will be in Lead Deadwood Regional Hospital undergoing treatment for this foot infection, this foot wound on my left foot. Again. Bummer. But meanwhile, tonight, I can make this video and tell you that other story. And what I would have made out of that place, the Longwave Ranch. I probably would have demolished the trailer and built a log cabin on it. I had in mind a 2-car garage on the first level and no basement because it would flood. And then on the second level, I'd have panoramic views in my hand radio shack. And I'd be able to look out and people wouldn't be able to look in and see me in my boxer shorts doing videos and operating the radio. Oh, you dream about things like this. There's no law against that yet. But it may look like I'm going to be in for a couple of hard weeks, maybe more, in order to restore, if God's will be so, this left foot, and to keep my life so I can write that book. And I'm not going to tell you what it's about, It's a secret. It's a unique kind of a book. Something I'm not sure I have the gall to do. I and others. Oh, but when and if it comes out, I'll let you know. Maybe years from now. Or maybe I'll be in some other planet, doing some other stuff. Whatever the will of God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and of all things seen and unseen. Stangibilisco W1GV saying 73, and so long, which, in my native fist, has always, does now, and ever shall translate into da-da-da-da-da-da.